We are now looking at target 2.2, and our math learning objective says, I can use the relationships among the sides in special right triangles to solve for missing sides. Okay? So the big thing we're looking at is special right triangles. They are ones that with common angles. So the first one is 45, 45, 90. So if I have two 45-degree angles and one 90-degree angle, they're always going to have this type of relationship between the sides. Instead of X, I like to use A here. So if the two legs are length A and the hypotenuse is length A times square root 2. So we can use this to quickly solve if we only know like one side of a right triangle, but it is one of these special triangles. We can solve for the other two sides. Instead of like Pythagorean theorem, we need two sides that we know to solve for the one missing one. So looking at some of our examples. Example 1, find the length of the hypotenuse. Okay? So the first thing we always want to do is, again, here's our right angle. So this is a leg, and this is a leg, right? And our legs are equal to A. Our hypotenuse across from that right angle is equal to A root 2. Right? That's just what this tells us. So if our leg equals A, then our hypotenuse equals A times root 2. Well, I know A is 8. Okay? And that's all we can do. So those are quick. Same thing for letter B. Here's our right angle. So that means these are legs. So they're equal to A. That's what our relationship is. And then our hypotenuse down here is A root 2. So again, it's asking me to solve for the hypotenuse. Our hypotenuse equals A times root 2. Well, this A is 3 root 2. That was this part, and I still have another root 2. So sometimes we have to be careful that we don't just see, oh, it's 3 times root 2. This A is 3 times root 2. We then have to multiply that by another root 2. Okay? Well, 3 times root 2 times root 2, well, this is really just 2. Right? If I take the square root times the square root, that's the same thing as squaring it. And we're left with just 2, which then equals 6. So our hypotenuse there is 6. All right, now we do the same thing, but now it's asking us for the length of the legs. Okay. I think I'm going to draw another example after this one. But same thing here, right? Here's our right angle. A. This is our hypotenuse. So that's A times root 2. Okay? So here I don't know what A is, but I know that 5 root 2 equals A times root 2. So if I'm solving for A, I'm going to divide by root 2. And A equals 5. Okay, so if you don't know what A is, you have to start by solving for A. If I do another example, 45-degree angle. As long as it says one 45-degree angle, because of the triangle angle sum theorem, we know the other one. So be careful with that. Let's say this is 8, and then we're solving for the leg. Right? So this side's A, and since 8 is our hypotenuse, that equals A root 2. So again, 8 equals A root 2. I'm going to divide both sides by root 2. So A equals 8 over root 2. Okay? And that's what our leg is. And that's okay to just leave it like that. Okay, we can't do like 8 divided by root 2 is not 4 or anything. Okay, only if they're both in a radical or both outside of a radical. Alright, let's look at our next page. Our other type of special right triangle is a 30, 60, 90. And same thing, I'm going to change this to A and A root 3 and A. Because now if I find the value of x and y, I don't want to get confused with this x and this x. So I like to use a letter that's not part of it. Okay. What's different about this one is, right, our side across from the hypotenuse is 2 times A. Our side across from the 30-degree angle is just A, right? And our side across from the 60-degree angle is A root 3. On the other one, right, the two lines were both the same because the angles were the same. Here the angles are different, so we have to be careful with that. Okay, so we have A root 3, and 2A. So now we have to think about which leg it is. So looking at this first one, across from our hypotenuse is our 2A, that's our hypotenuse. Across from our 30 is A. And across from our 60 is A root 3. So I know that 9 equals A root 3. The first thing I want to do, right, that's the one number I know, and the first thing I want to do is solve for A. So I'm going to divide by root 3. So A equals 9 over root 3. Okay, now I need to solve for x and solve for y. So x equals A. Well, x equals, right, if this is, we already know this, 9 over root 3. And there's nothing else I have to do here. Alright, then for y equals 2A. Well, again, I know A already. So y equals 2 times 9, which is 18 over root 3. So we're solving for whatever that A value is, and then we're using it, and then just plugging in. All right, let's look at part B. Same thing. Across from our right angle, y equals 2A. Across from our 30-degree angle, that's supposed to be an equal sign, equals A. And across from our 60, which would be here because 30 is there, is A times root 3. So we're given A equals 9. This one's actually easier than this one. Here, I had to solve for a. Here, I'm already done with that step. There's no extra to be done there. So if I solve for x, well, I know this a is this 9, so I'm just plugging that in. So x equals 9 times that root 3, or 9 root 3, right? All right, if I solve for y, again, this a, I know from that this here. So y equals 2 times 9. And then I can solve for y. So y equals, and 2 times 9 is 18. All right, last problem for these notes. C, right? Again, across from my right angle is 2a. Across from the 30-degree angle is a. And across from the 60-degree angle, which would be the remaining angle, is a root 3. Oh, we do have another problem after these. Never mind. So x, so we're given 12 root 3 equals 2a. I want to solve for a, so I'm going to divide by 2. 12 divided by 2 would be 6 root 3 equals a. Okay. Then solving for x. X equals a root 3. And again, this a is the same as this a. So we get x equals, and then we plug that in, 6 root 3. And then I still have this root 3. Again, root 3 times root 3 is 3, okay, because it's like root 3 squared. And then 6 times 3 is 18. So this side here is 18. And then solving for y, well, y is just a. And again, this a is the same as that a. So y equals, and a is 6 root 3. Easy enough. So we have 6 root 3, 18, and then 12 root 3. All right, now we're going to look at our last problem. Okay? The body of a dump truck is raised to empty a load of sand. How high is the 14-foot body from the frame when it is tipped upward at the given angle? Okay. So here's my little dump truck. It's a beautiful truck. We have this 14-foot frame that gets lifted, so all your stuff can tumble out, right? And they're saying this is 45 degrees, and that this frame is 14. Okay? And it's asking for this height. So, again, across from our right angle for a 45, 45, 90 triangle is a root 2. Across from the 45-degree angle, right, is a. Okay. So we're given that 14 equals a root 2. So I'm going to divide by root 2. So 14 over root 2 equals a. When I'm solving for x, x equals a. So x equals 14 over root 2. Since this is a real world problem, I'm going to type that in my calculator really quick. 14 divided by, again, the square root is above the squared. So 14 divided by the square root of 2. We get about 9.9 feet. Alright, same thing with the 60-degree angle. I'm just going to copy that triangle, not the whole truck. But now this is a 60-degree angle. I still know the bed of the truck can't lengthen as it gets raised up. It just raises up. So the bed that's being lifted is still 14 feet. And then I'm still looking for that height. So again, across from the right angle is 2a. And across from the 60-degree angle, that's my a root 3. So I know 14 equals 2a. Divide both sides by 2. A equals 7. Solving for x, I'm plugging that in. So x equals 7 root 3. Easy enough. Again, I'm just going to type that in my calculator. 7 times root 3. This one is about 12.1 feet. Okay, which makes sense, right? This is a bigger angle. If I raise it just a little bit, it's not going to be as high. And as I raise it a little bit more, that height should be longer. So our two answers do make sense. All right, and that is it. Go ahead. I will see you guys tomorrow.